You know that feeling, right? It's 2 a.m., you're staring at the ceiling, and your brain is playing this hyper-vivid, incredibly stressful movie of everything that could possibly go wrong next month. Your career, your health, your goals. We all do it, and honestly, it is just exhausting. So welcome to this explainer. Today we're not just going to sit here and talk about overthinking, we are actively going to dismantle it. Think of this as an interactive, step-by-step workshop. We're going to build a toolkit to stop that mental spiraling and basically stop suffering in a future that, well, literally hasn't happened yet.
Okay, so here's our active guide for today. We're hitting 5 main parts: the anticipatory anxiety trap, planning versus mental motion, the physical body reset, shrinking your future world, and finally, winning the present moment. Let's just jump right in. Starting off with Section 1, the anticipatory anxiety trap. It is time to turn off that mental movie projector.
First off, I want to fully validate that deep, bone-level exhaustion you might be feeling right now. You're drained, but it's not because you're physically doing too much. It's because you're thinking too much. But check out the stark mathematical reality of those worries. We spend massive amounts of energy playing out these worst-case scenarios, right? But the data actually tells us these catastrophic outcomes generally have only about a 1% chance of happening. Meaning that other 99% of your mental energy, it's pure anxiety waste. You are literally draining your battery today for a 1% illusion of tomorrow.
And that brings us perfectly to our core definition here. Anticipatory anxiety is quite literally suffering in the future before it even happens. And we love to trick ourselves with this, don't we? We call it planning or being prepared. But let's be totally honest with ourselves for a second. If it's just making you miserable and it's not actually giving you a solution, it's not planning. It's just a mental trap of unnecessary future suffering.
Because we're treating this like a workshop, I want to slow our pace down for just a beat. What movie of the future are you playing in your head right now? I genuinely want you to actively pause and identify the specific worry you're lugging around today. Recognize it. Give it a name. Just seeing the movie for what it is, which is total fiction, is the absolute first step in shutting it down. Moving on to Section 2, planning versus mental motion. Let's figure out if you're actually taking action or just caught in a trap.
We have got to completely break this illusion that spinning our wheels in worry is somehow useful preparation. The truth? Most of us are secretly addicted to what we call mental motion. Look at the difference here. Action is writing a grocery list. It's grounded, it's practical, it gets something done. Mental motion? That's worrying the grocery store is going to be out of milk 3 whole weeks from now. Your brain is spinning at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but you aren't actually moving forward an inch. One is a tool, the other is a complete trap.
So here is your absolutely crucial rule of thumb. If your thought lacks an immediate next step, it's not a plan, it's a weight, and you just have to drop it. If you cannot physically take action on that thought in the very near future, holding on to it does literally nothing but drag you down. Time for our second active reflection. Ask yourself this: what is one what if you are carrying right now that has absolutely zero immediate next step? Find it in your mind, acknowledge that you can't act on it today anyway, and I want you to consciously, almost physically, just let it go. Drop the weight. All right, Section 3, the physical body reset. Let's learn how to anchor ourselves to the now.
We need a reliable way to fight back when that mental spiraling inevitably tries to creep back in. And the best tool for that? Your physical body. We call these anchor habits. These are physical actions used to forcefully pull your brain back to the present moment. Because here's the thing. You simply cannot overthink the future when you are intensely, singularly focused on your physical breath or your physical stride. The body just forces the mind to snap back to right now.
To actually use this, we apply the 5-minute rule. The next time you catch yourself spiraling into tomorrow, force yourself to do a manual task for just 5 minutes. The options here are beautifully simple. You can clean your desk, take a fast walk around the block, just drop and do 10 push-ups, or do a totally mundane household chore. Engaging your hands and your muscles for just 5 minutes acts like a hard reset for your nervous system. You're essentially yanking your brain out of the future and back into your body. So I want you to pick yours right now. What is a 5-minute manual task you can use as your physical anchor today? When that anxiety spikes later, and it probably will, what is your go-to move going to be? Lock that specific action in your mind right now before we move on.
Section 4, Shrinking Your Future World. It is time to compartmentalize.
Look, Sometimes the timeline of the future, like next month, next year, the entire trajectory of your career, it just feels way too massive and overwhelming to handle. When that hits, we compartmentalize. We use a complete toolkit called the 3-step reset. Step 1 is the bare minimum rule. Step 2, which we just covered, is your anchor habits. And step 3 is creating worry windows. Let's break down steps 1 and 3 to see how they systematically shrink your world down to a size you can actually manage.
When the future feels totally unmanageable, you've got to shrink your world using the bare minimum rule. Forget the entire month. Actually, scratch that. Forget the rest of the week. Ask yourself, what is the one thing you need to do in the next hour? Just one. Isolating a single, solitary task for the immediate hour entirely removes the paralysis of choice. It stops the overwhelm dead in its tracks.
But what about all those lingering fears you just can't shake? For those, we use the number 10. This is the concept of worry windows. You give yourself exactly 10 minutes a day to just be an absolute mess. Set a timer on your phone, sit down, and write out every single what-if and worst-case scenario bothering you. But here is the real magic of this. When that 10-minute timer dings, the window slams shut. You are officially done worrying for the day. You've given the anxiety a safe outlet, but more importantly, you've given it a strict, impenetrable boundary.
Let's practice shrinking your timeline this very second. What is the single bare minimum task you must complete in the next hour? Answer that for yourself. That task, that is your entire world right now. Every single other thing exists outside the window.
And finally, Section 5, winning the present moment. Let's focus on the input. We are now going to shift our focus entirely away from uncontrollable outcomes and pour 100% of our energy into the present input. The source drops an incredibly hard, brilliant truth here. The future is just a collection of now moments. I really, really want you to let that sink in. If you ruin every single now by stressing out about later, what's the end result? You're going to arrive at your future completely exhausted. You'll have spent your entire life practicing how to be anxious rather than how to actually live.
We hear so many buzzwords in productivity circles these days. People are constantly debating consistency versus intensity. But our source makes a massively important distinction here. Consistency beats intensity, sure, for sure. But true presence, that beats them both. Letting the outcome take care of itself and just being fully, fiercely engaged in the work right in front of you, that is the ultimate life hack.
And we're back to the number 10, but this time it represents the ultimate challenge. Your goal isn't to figure out the next 10 years. Honestly, it isn't even to figure out the next 10 days. Your one and only job is to win the next 10 minutes. That's it. That's the whole secret. Because if you can focus entirely on the input of the next 10 minutes, the future is going to build itself beautifully.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to take into your day. If you drop the crushing weight of the future and you focus entirely on the input of the present, how will you win your next 10 minutes? Take a deep breath, close down that scary movie in your head, and go win your next 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I truly